What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of hopsgeeknews, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and typically we feature a beer of the week. This week, we are finally getting around to Peacemaker Season 2. We've had a lot going on as far as October and just nonstop other things happening, so we're a little bit behind. We are here to talk about it. Spoiler, of course, so spoilers ahead. And then, if this is your first time, go ahead, Hopsgeek News on any social media platform, any podcast platform, that kind of stuff. We go into the beer of the week, then we go into our reading or watching, followed up with some news and our main topic. I am drinking, call me Lauren this week, because Sideward Brewing's affinity for the unattainable. I felt that fit the theme for Peacemaker, because
Oh,
he's going after
aw,
a life
kinda
that he can't
sad.
have. Yeah,
Wow,
that's what I
that is
got.
super sad.
You're welcome.
Damn.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
Starting on a low note.
well,
So I'm actually not drinking a Sideward beer. My mom did a Calusa run right before Halloween, so I have a
oh,
Calusa
sick.
beer.
I'm glad she did that after I was there.
They just happened to be over there, I think probably visiting my stepbrother. So
Makes
this
sense.
is actually looks like it was a little collab to do a benefit for Satchel's Last Resort, which looks like they do animal rescue stuff, and it's called Forever Dreams. It's a hazy session, so it's only 5.5%, but it's still delicious. And there's a whole bunch of cats and dogs, which are your normal pet, but
Yeah,
they didn't have any eagles on them. So this is just, a pet kind of
nice.
can.
No
So
Eagles, but I do have a Peacemaker helmet at
that's
least.
where I went.
There we go.
I have nothing, Peacemaker. I need some. Well, I
You
could
don't
say
have
I do.
clothes or
You
anything.
just can't see it because John Cena is invisible.
Ah, you see, there you go. There you go. You got your Peacemaker pillow. We just can't see it, of course. Duh. Now, going into what we're going to read or watching, man, a lot of comic books this week, mostly DC and Marvel for me. I did start out with Harley and Ivy issue 1. This is more Batman animated series style, and it really captured the heart. It was basically starting from their relationship when they first kind of meet, and Joker shows up, and it's the Joker who stapled his face back on, which is pretty creepy.
Oh, they do that in Gotham with
Yeah, no, it's
Cameron
creepy
Monaghan.
as hell. Yeah, it was. The art was really good at capturing that animated series style, but yeah, it's pretty good. I liked that. We'll go DC first. So, Cheetah in Cheshire robbed the Justice League. Issue 4 is out. I've been raving about this. Greg Rucka and his team have done amazing work, because this is now a heist on the Watchtower. They've got their team together. The heist is kicking off, and of course, not everything goes according to plan. Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez are back with issue number 3 of Batman, and things kind of get cool in this because we're starting to figure out what exactly is going on with the villains of Gotham. I'm really enjoying a lot of the artwork and things of that nature, so make sure you check that one out. We got DCKO Night Fight issue 1. I love the cover of this one just it's absolutely amazing. It's Joshua Williamson, Dan Mora, Triona Farrell, and it's Batman versus Batman, essentially. So I don't really want to spoil a lot of these. Justice Society of America Year 1, Chapter 1. This is part of the DC All In series. It's Jeff Lemire, and he's writing this one, and it's got like Sandman in it and things. So I was really digging this World War II aesthetics, Alan Scott, things of that nature. And then going into Marvel, I got Alien versus Captain America, which is Frank Thierry, Stefano Raffaele, and Niraj Menon. And Red Skull sent, of course, Baron von Strucker to find the Inhumans to basically get a one up on the uh, World War II on everybody, right? To win the war for the Nazis, which I hate Nazis.
Yeah,
And
that'll be a good segue into
it
Peacemaker.
will be, but yeah, so the artwork is great because, of course, they find not the Inhumans. Well, they find the Inhumans, but they also find something else. And then last but not least, Planet She-Hulk issue 1. Stephanie Phillips, Aaron Cuter, and Sophia Oback are here. And Sonia Oback, it's Sonia Oback. I'm sorry, I mispronounced her name. It's amazing. She-Hulk essentially. Hulk has gone out for milk. We don't know if he's coming back. She-Hulk's now running New Sakaar. There's a vacancy on the throne. She's got to go to a wedding, and it's got some
Oh,
badass
I hope it's better than
action.
the wedding episode of the show.
Oh
I
yeah,
liked the show. I hated that episode. I just want to make that clear. I'm not like, I hate that show. I thought the show was fantastic. That episode was
oh my gosh! Like,
terrible.
way to just hate on your fellow women, but whatever, Lauren. That's all I have. I
I
didn't
love
watch anything
She-Hulk. I
new.
even have her her law mug, which I freaking love.
I do love her. She's behind Daredevil. She's probably my second favorite Marvel hero. So
I hope
I
they
dig
bring
that.
her back.
They really, I hope they do as well. There's no reason not to have her in the MCU in some fashion. It would be honestly a disgrace. Be stupid. But then again, how many MCU people have we been introduced to and haven't gotten again?
Oh, there could be a list. We should do an episode on that one day.
Ah, yes,
Just
catching
support
up with
her.
the Avengers.
Yeah, Thanos' brother, and we had what Patton Oswalt was with the little Pip or Pip. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All of them. I mean, gosh, so many.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did 3 reviews this week, and I was very excited about some of these reviews. So 1, Laura Kinney Sabretooth, number 2 is part of the X-Men, Age of Revelation. That's really good. I really like where they're going because, like, one of the things this is Erica Schultz, and I've loved her Wolverine run with Laura Kinney, and I really like what she's doing with this character, and Laura Kinney is a very confident, emotionally intelligent Wolverine. So that's how she's, I feel like,
I
different
do like
than
her
Logan.
whenever she is in because she's in like the new Avengers and everything like that. And I enjoy her demeanor a lot. I gotta say, she's
Yeah.
really badass in a very similar but different way, which is probably why I like She-Hulk because they're not reluctant heroes. They're more of, hey, we're down to F stuff up at a moment's notice, but we're just here to vibe.
Well, I think it's also being a female, you almost have to like overcompensate. You can't get too emotional, even if the guy, you can't match the guy's emotions or you'll be the one that's
Right.
irrational. So,
Exactly.
I mean, I could go down a whole thing there. But in this run, though, she's on the opposite side of Gabby, her sister, and Dakin,
Ooh.
her brother, or Akihiro, because Dakin is actually a bad name, and he's Helverine,
Oh,
which
that's
I
right. Yeah,
love
yeah,
the
yeah.
Helverine run. So yeah, from Ben Percy, and so it seems a little out of character, but Laura is still taking the best interest of her son in mind and sends her son with her siblings, even though they're not on good terms. And so there's more going on because also like we've seen like a shell of Wolverine. It's like how much
Yeah.
are these decisions that she's making her own and how much are they not her own? So I think I haven't read all the Age of Revelation books. I've only read that one in the last
Yeah, I know like
Wolverine.
Binary. I've read issue 1 of Binary, issue 2's out now. I can't really keep up with the X. I'm gonna be honest. X-Men is like the one that I find myself really struggling to get it. I know people love them and dude, love
Well, all
what
of
you
them you can
love.
enjoy the one alone, but then when I
Oh,
see
okay.
like something, oh, that's from a past comic, you get excited. Like they quickly just caught you up on
Sure.
Helverine in issue one, like, oh, he's, has
Well, I
this.
was reading Helverine too, yeah.
Yeah, but then there was the Helverine with Logan, and then there's been the Helverine with his son. Which came from. I feel like you can just constantly take things back, but you don't have to read it all. It's just fun when
Oh yeah,
know it. Okay.
Randall, you can just take things back.
Okay, so like Randall
Remember,
from
he's
Clerks.
taking it back, yeah.
Oh, let's not take that back. No, no, no. But speaking of Randall, one of the comics I did this week was Quick Stops, Volume 3, Number 3. I love this. I gave this one a 10 out of 10. This is, of course, Kevin
Ooh,
Smith. This volume 3, the first issue, we were talking, oh, no, the second issue, we were talking Mallrats. The first issue, we're talking Chasing Amy. And this third issue, we're talking Dogma. Now, in the second one, he
God,
did
I
a
love
beautiful
Dogma.
nod to Shannon Doherty. This one was a beautiful nod to Alan Rickman. And it got me emotional. Like I'm laughing at how ridiculous it is because it's Jay and Silent Bob are in it. And Jay and Silent Bob steal Buddy Christ. But the reason they
Oh
steal
my god.
him, but I don't want to tell you why they steal him
I
because
do have to read it. That's right, you did tell me to read it, and I have not yet. I
so
owe
I'm
you
not going
that.
to tell you why, but as soon as I saw why they stole him, that was when I text you and I was like, you need to read this right now.
Oh my god.
And then Alan Rickman shows up and he says lines straight from the movie. There's some meta jokes that had me literally laughing aloud. And then it was so sweet because, again, it's a nod to Alan Rickman. And
Yeah.
like, I'm like, why am I getting emotional reading a Kevin Smith
Why am
comic?
I crying in the club right now? Because Kevin Smith is a good damn writer, and it's about time people like recognize that too. There should be no shame in that. He's
Yeah.
he's really good, man, and he's really grown as a writer too. And he's all about having fun, but at the same time, he's not afraid to go to some emotional lengths for some of his stories. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope. And he nailed it. I absolutely love this. Anybody who is a fan of his movies and Clerks and everything should 100% grab this. And then
Agreed.
Archie versus Minor Threats number 3 came out. So anybody not familiar, I mean, obviously everybody knows Archie. He's heart of gold, great guy. Well, not right now. He is a villain called Ginger Snap in this
Oh,
comic
them damn
because
gingers.
there's been some freaky Fridaying. So the world of Minor Threats is very raunchy, very dirty, very murdery. Like you see blood in it all the time, all sorts of things. So these worlds are completely opposite. But in this issue, they got like swapped. So like the good guys
Oh,
are bad guys and the bad guys are good guys.
I love a good
It's because
swap. Who
it's
doesn't?
all because of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She got her hands on some magic she wasn't supposed to, and
Damn it,
Frankie was
Sabrina.
hiding the magic. But don't worry, there's the talking cat is there. What's his name? Salem.
Yeah, Salem. We started showing Harper the Melissa Joan Hart Teenage Witch, and she really enjoyed it actually, which is
I
fun.
never actually watched that, but I was obsessed with Clarissa
What?
Explains It All. I wanted her bedroom so bad. I wanted to pet alligator so bad. Oh, I loved her room.
You're in Florida, so you probably could still.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Totally.
recommend it though.
I don't want anything alive. I wouldn't care. I mean, how cute is that gator we see though at MegaCon every
Oh
year?
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. That
Chinese
one's cool. We get to
alligator.
hold it and everything. That one's
Yeah,
really
he's
cool.
adorable. I remember we
All
had
right.
Sean on years ago from Metalcore Nerds, and we were talking about cons, and I was like, "Well, you know how they have like gators at like beer fests and comic cons," and you're both like, "No,"
It's
but
only in Florida, man. But now I know. Yeah,
now you've held an alligator at a comic con, so.
it's interesting. I'll tell you that much. But you've got some books. You've been reading some books lately. What's up, kid?
So I finished Haunting on Hill House. I just wanted to give that a shout out real quick. I did not review that for Nerd Initiative, but so the Mike Flanagan shows, like
Yeah.
Haunting on Hill House was my favorite that he's done. That was like the first one. So he did not take it from the book exactly at all. It's almost like the book was just inspiration to make his own story.
Oh,
So I
okay.
thought it was good, but I actually thought the show was way better.
Oh,
So I thought that that was interesting.
one of
I'm
those
glad.
rare times.
Yeah, but I think it's because it's just like nods to the show. Like
Right.
Eleanor and which is Nell. Nell and one of the other girls, why am I already forgetting her name? Theodora, who goes by Thea. Like
Oh, yep,
they're
yep.
just strangers that happen to meet at this house. Like this guy wants to do research
Oh,
on the
weird.
house because he's researching ghosts and spirits. So they go to stay in the house.
Spooky.
But in the book or in the show, these girls are sisters. And the guy who lived there originally that built the house is their dad in the show. In this, the guy's long gone and dead and stuff. But
Right.
it was interesting.
Interesting. Okay. And
But
I
then I started Phasma. Have you read Phasma, Star
no, I
Wars?
have not read Phasma. I
Is it because it's
don't
sequel trilogy?
no. Look, I thought Phasma was going to be this badass character, but then the way they just kind of discarded Phasma was just off-putting to me, and so I have not read it because I've just been like, well, that was a waste.
So I
Because
just
well,
started it.
Phasma's armor was like from Palpatine and like like the Death Star or whatever, or Palpatine's ship, and set up to be this big badass, and then nothing. I don't know. All right, I'm not gonna rant.
Well, I'm
Go
only
on.
like 25, 30 pages into it. So not much has happened. But the only reason I ended up grabbing it was I was on thrift books and every now and then they're like, you get a free book for under $5. And it was $4. So I was like, I'll take that.
Oh yeah,
Uh, but it starts with V Murata. Do you know who V Murata is?
sounds familiar to
Okay.
me.
So
I'm not
she is
passing the
like,
Star Wars test despite wearing an Ahsoka Tano sweatshirt.
that's okay. So as soon as it started, the first page says V
Mhm.
Murata, and I'm like, why do I know that name? And I googled it real quick, which I often do when reading Star Wars. She is the person who's always at Galaxy's Edge. That's not in any of the movies.
Oh, okay. Thank you. For a second, I was like, wow, Lauren is schooling me in Star Wars. I was damn, but okay. No,
I had
that
heard
makes
she
more
was
sense.
in something, and like as I was reading this suddenly, because I remember going to a panel at MegaCon years ago before you came with me with the Gwendolyn,
Yeah, we're
Brienne
going
of
to Christie.
Tar,
Yeah.
Phasma, yeah. And I somebody had mentioned the novel, so as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh, this is cool," because now it's going to make her wandering around Batu like canon for me. Whereas before, I felt like she was like the figment of Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, I mean, Galaxy's Edge is in Batu is one of those things that they just kind of made up, but there's no lore about. But now that they're kind of
They're
intertwining,
building lore, yeah.
yeah, that's cool. All right, I can get behind that.
So
That's cool.
it's a decently sized book. It's not huge, but it's not little.
You know,
So
all the Star Wars books are pretty good reads. They're not small, but they're a good
it's
size.
not
You
like
know,
Ahsoka was a quick
200 or
read.
whatever.
I think this is almost like 500 pages.
Yeah, see, that's pretty decent
That's a
for
decent read, but
they're
it
all
takes
pretty
place
solid.
right after Aftermath. It looks like.
Oh, okay. I do like the Aftermath series, so that is cool to set up some of Fast. Again, I just damn you, damn you, damn you is all I have to say. So, yeah, let's go into some news. There's really just one big piece of news. Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are in talks to reunite for The Mummy, and we're calling this Mummy 3 because The Mummy 3 that actually was out never actually happened because that movie was not good. However, The Mummy 1 is a damn perfect film. The Mummy 2, just as good. And so
I
now
have
that
to watch
mom
that
and
one.
dad are returning, and both are amazing, amazing. Brendan Fraser, just a beautiful soul. I'd say this like I know him, right? But Rachel Weisz, my gosh, she was part of my awakening during that Mummy movie. And I always quote, "You're on the wrong side of the river." Oh my God, those movies are amazing.
My kids actually haven't seen it, but they've been on the ride a bunch of
I
times. So I
love the
feel
ride.
like this is a good reason to sit down and watch the Mummy. Yeah, because I used to watch the movie
Yes.
all the time as a kid.
This
You
movie's
know,
amazing.
the ride's a bit jerky and hard. It's cool, but it's so just like but it is cool. They like shut it down for a little bit, and I thought they were gonna make it smoother. That was stupid because they didn't make Hulk smoother.
Oh god, yeah, Hulk beats the crap out of you. I like, I don't know. I see what you're saying as far as being jerked around, but I don't know. It's one of those old school, I guess old school rides you can say. And it's one that I always like to hit when we go to Universal, which isn't very often, but nonetheless, we hit it last year at MegaCon. That was one of the rides we did. I was excited.
Yeah, that's a good
So,
ride. It could be
well,
better.
let's no other news. So let's go into our main topic, which is going to be Peacemaker season 2 reaction. Now, we are going to start with episode 3 because we did do an episode on episodes 1 and 2. So if you want to listen to those, go back, listen to them. We'll probably try to link it here, but we are going to pick up with episode 3. Spoilers ahead. 3, 2, 1. Now, of course, James Gunn starring John Cena, you know, all of just Danielle Brooks and gosh, I'm blanking on names. Steve Ajay. I can never pronounce his name very well, but
I meant to put all their names in here and I forgot.
no, yeah. And
But
how
we
can
did
we?
do
Freddie
weekly
Stroma. Yeah,
breakdowns on Nerd Initiative with all that
I was
information.
kind of blanking for a second, but August 31st is when we dropped the episode discussing the first two, and now 3 through 8. But we're going to recap the episodes, kind of talk about them, and starting with episode 3, which is another Rick up my sleeve. Flashback to Rick Flag Jr. 3 years ago. We see him with a happy Harcourt. They're together. Pretty interesting because they are in. This is the main universe before Rick Flag Jr. died, of course. So they were together. They had a thing. Very interesting. Everybody's happy, hungover. Peacemaker is enjoying the best universe ever in present day. So then we see an alive, very goofy Rick Flag Jr. there, which we thought would have led to more. Unfortunately, it doesn't, but I think that was just to put him in there while walking with the other dress wearing Harcourt in this alternate universe that John Cena has found himself in. We meet the Sons of Liberty at this point. Peacemaker takes all of them out with the sudden help of his dad and brother, which I thought was a pretty cool sequence because they were setting up bombs. And John Cena moves pretty well for somebody in leather pants, tight leather pants, and he was taking
Yeah,
them out. I was
I
very
forgot about
impressed.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the first time we see him with this world's Amelia Harcourt as well, who does wear dresses. She's very kind of ditzier, happier, things of that. She's not such a badass as she is in our
She's not
universe.
traumatized.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word I was kind of trying to get to. Thank you. Now, back in the main world, Argus is licking their wounds from Eagly and getting ready to attack again, this time with an Eagle specialist. Yes,
Yeah,
that's where
why
we're
did they make Rick Flag Jr. goofy? I didn't understand that either. It didn't seem relevant. Like they could have had him there just like glaring at John and
at.
like
Yeah. Well, I guess
having
since
like
they're
obviously there's some sort of, what do you call it? Not a three-way love triangle.
well, they could have done that too.
I
We
mean,
all
yeah, John
yeah,
Cena
I mean,
obviously would
John
have been
Cena,
okay with that. Wouldn't
yeah,
be
of
the
course,
first
but
time.
listen, I think it was just their way of putting him in there, showing this alternate universe with him in it, and kind of just laying that Easter egg. Who
That's
knows?
like why
Maybe
like
down the
he's
road
not
he can come
goofy in
back. I don't
Suicide
know.
Squad, but why
Yeah,
have
that's
him
the
be
point because he's
like
an Earth 2 version, man.
weird? But why is he
Well,
weird?
why are
I
any of us weird? Why? I don't know.
But it's just so inconsistent with I guess they're just making everybody like the opposite of what they are.
Pretty much. That's the point of this Earth X.
So
Yeah.
this is opposite world instead of
Yes.
Nazi world.
Well, spoilers, even though we're spoiling the show. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. They just do, and this is the world where Peacemaker could have it all, and everything is dandy, and his brothers and him fight crime, or his brother and his dad, I should say, fight crime, and they stop the Sons of Liberty, who at the time we think are bad guys, and it turns out maybe that's not the case.
Yeah.
And so yeah, take us into episode 4.
Need I say door? We start with another flashback, but this time we go 35 years into the past. We see how
Yeah,
Peacemaker's dad, the White Dragon, got access to the door. They
dude,
made
those
it seem like
mullets were
he was
gnarly,
like,
huh?
but they made him seem like he was like such a genius. And it's like, nope, that's not what happened at all. He
He
stole it
literally
from some
they
poor
stumble upon the alien and
innocent
kill the alien.
alien.
Yeah,
Yes, brutally. And like you could tell John was upset about it. So
yeah.
John warns Peacemaker what's going on. John, okay, now I'm getting John Cena. You could tell
Economos.
Chris,
John
young Chris, was
Economos
upset by it.
tells
John
Economos.
Economos warns Peacemaker what's going on as Captain Cultural Appropriation is there to kill Eagly. So he takes the door and Eagly and they
Michael
run.
Rooker. God dang it.
So John calls ads, has ads pick him up, and they go to Peacemaker's grandpa's hunting cabin.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Rick Flag Sr. tells Hardcore if she can get he can get her unblackballed because Amanda Waller blackballed her. But she can get unblackballed if she can give them Chris. So she calls Chris and they set up a meet. And we're thinking, like, really, Hardcore? You're just going to sell him out like that? Like, we get it. We see, like, why you're traumatized, but really? But that's apparently not the case.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, Captain Cultural Appropriation, aka Red Saint Wild, finds the cabin.
Yeah, this one we do see because there's some history there with Rick Flag Sr. and Amelia Harcourt. Again, her and Rick Flag Jr. were in love into an item. And so call me Rick instead
But
of
he was
General.
with somebody else. She was the other woman, but apparently it was like he was gonna leave. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, it was a whole weird thing. That's all. Everybody in
But Rick
love.
Flag
Let's
Senior
give
is
it up for
like,
love.
yeah, I don't know why they had to put that in there either. But Rick
Uh,
Flag Senior was like, you'll always be family.
yeah, exactly. And he's really leaning into that. And so
He's
she's
trying to
torn apart.
manipulate
She wants
her.
her life back. That was her whole life. She's been lost without it. And so we think that she's setting him up, but Peacemaker shows up to the park and she's like, I said copacetic, which turns out she was giving him a warning, but he still had to see her.
They're
And
Poughkeepsie.
yeah, he tries to get away, and that's when what's it? Tim Meadows' character was about to shoot him, or no, not Tim Meadows. What's her name? Soul was about to. That's not her real name.
Sasha.
Sasha was about to shoot him, but Harcourt takes down Peacemaker to basically save him and everything like that. She, now at that point, the team thinks that why would she do that? Because she reports, hey, they took him, he's gone, he's in jail. They think she sold him out. That's not exactly the case,
Well,
but
you
I
can
do
see
think it's
right away that Peacemaker knows something's up. So right away we're like, okay, did
yeah.
she tip him off? Because he's strategically hiding behind people so he doesn't get shot.
Okay, but it was hilarious the way he was
It
diving when they were trying
was
to shoot him, and he was, like, hiding
hiding
behind
behind a
he's still,
kid,
like,
yeah.
hulking and everything. It
And it's like
was
a park, so people are doing like recreational
yeah, there's, like, a
activities.
birthday party, people are playing in the park, and so they kinda do that, and they're all pissed, of course, because, he's they're thinking, "Oh, he's tipped off," and then it turns out Harcourt did tip him off. She said the word, but he still had to see her, and he had to know, and she
Because
kinda
he's
breaks his
thinking
heart
about
then
going to this
too.
other world and staying there, but he needs to
Yeah.
know he has no chance in hell with this hardcore
The
before he
dude
does
is
it.
really torn up, man. The
That's
guy
smart
is
though. He
yeah,
needs
it is.
closure. Like you don't move on to somebody else until you can fully have closure with
Totally fair.
somebody you still have feelings for.
Sure. And the end of this episode was hilarious only because Michael Rooker's character then starts to do his eagle dance in his
There's just like a
cultural
total side
appropriation
story
outfit.
that like it didn't even
It
that
was
wasn't
just
even
there.
relevant.
He's dancing, and then he finally, has the
His third
vision of
eye.
flying. Yeah, and he ends up seeing where the cabin is, which takes us to episode 5, back to the suture. This time, the flashback is 3 years again, but now we're at Rick Flag Jr.'s funeral. Harcourt tells Rick Sr. that she can't say who killed his son. Of course, it's classified, but they will pay. Now we're back in the present day. Harcourt is waiting for Chris, who is surrounded by Argus agents. We learn she tipped him off and is surprised when he shows. He's very strategically hides behind people, like we kind of just talked about. Asks her if they ever meant anything. She says no, but she also sees he's
She
about to be
lies.
shot, so she takes him down, saves his life. Rick Sr. then beats the life out of him, but John books him before he gets lost in the system, and therefore they have to let him go because they can't keep him beat up and everything like that. Now, back at the cabin, John calls for Eagly, who shows up with Red St. Wild's finger because
He's like, I'm gonna pretend you don't have
Eagly
that or
and
something.
the Eagles get together and kill Red St. Wild. And then this is when Chris leaves a note and heads out the door and adds holds Vigilante as he cries.
It's been so sad.
It's sad. Dude, Danielle Brooks and Freddie Stroma are two really unsung characters in this entire series, let alone this season.
Hmm.
Danielle Brooks, especially the moments that she has with John Cena and the way that they really dive emotionally deep
I love
and
their
bring the
friendship. Yeah.
best out. Oh my god, it's the
Did
best.
you watch
Danielle
Orange
Brooks.
Is the New Black?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. She was good
Okay.
in that. Yeah, that's where I
Yeah, I
remember her
loved her
from.
in that. Yeah.
She was honestly probably my favorite thing in that show, and I didn't love the show, but I watched it all.
I mean, the show was
Mm.
good at first, and then it kind of went off the rails a
I
little
think I
bit. But
watched it
I
on
always,
deployment, which is how I got into it, honestly, anyways.
why? I mean, I really enjoyed the show, but then I was kept having nightmares that I was in jail.
Oh,
I
geez.
didn't
All right.
like that.
Well, as a lawyer,
I don't know. It's like I
but
feel like
no,
if I got
no.
arrested, I would just start crying. I don't know if I could handle that.
Now
But
it
yeah.
just,
So
yeah, it's pretty sad, and
yeah,
because Vigilante doesn't know any better. He's like, "Why is my best friend leaving me?"
he's a serial killer child. Yeah, it really is sad. It's so sad.
Okay,
But I love that
who's
she's
those
there
bad
comforting
guys?
him.
Okay,
I
it's
like that they're there
blood
for each
money.
other.
They are.
Like
Oh my
I
god,
love
yeah.
Ads and Peacemaker's friendship, but I genuinely love Vigilante and Ads as well
They're like
because it's more
brother
like a
sister.
big sister, little brother. Yeah.
Yeah. In
Whereas Chris and Ads are equal friends.
right, they're on each other's kind of level playing field, and I feel like Chris is the big brother who gets kind of annoyed by little brother Vigilante, and
Yeah.
then, like, Economos fits into there, but I don't get necessarily the brotherly vibe throughout this series. Not that he's not important and they don't have
He's like
moments,
the
but
stepdad that's like,
yeah,
I didn't
he's
want to
just there.
adopt the dog, and then he falls in love with the dog.
Yeah, pretty much. He really does look out despite working for
Yeah.
Argus for them. So
I love
taking
that
us,
he's like
yeah,
a giant person and
I
he
know.
is like the weakest link.
It is, and he just can't help himself but to
Like, how tall is this guy? I'm
spill
gonna
the
look it up.
yeah. So I'll go into episode 6 while I looked it up. Ignorance is Chris. Determined not to let Chris stay in another world, adds hardcore.
6'7".
Oh,
Oh god, I hate that I just said that. Ugh.
Lauren, dude, when
Sorry.
I was picking up the
I'm
kid.
gonna say he's 6 foot 6 inches and 11 and three
There
quarters.
we go. Hardcore Vigilante and John open the door from Vigilante's drug and money filled room. It's blood money. They can't use it, which is hilarious because Vigilante's so mean to his mom. Like,
John
they're
Cena's
just
only 6'1".
interesting. Vigilante becomes
So mean to the mom.
BFFs with his doppelganger in this other world who says that he hates Peacemaker and that this world is full of Nazis
And
because
they
in this
immediately
world,
go, Spider-Man meme.
yes.
So
I
Marvel
love how he's
exists
going through his house and he's looking at like the
in both
differences
universes.
of
Yeah.
the cereals and all that, and they're getting along, but
Interesting. If
Marvel
Marvel
does.
exists in the Nazi universe,
Ugh.
how odd. And
Who
enough
made
that there's
Spider-Man then? Because Germany in this world wins World War II.
yeah.
Where,
Interesting.
yeah, Harcourt ends up going to Argus. Once she's there, she sees Chris and they have a really emotional moment where essentially they say how they feel about each other. She then points out the giant Hitler mural, which Chris didn't even
I loved that
realize.
scene. So
You
first
didn't
she
know?
points out Mein Kampf, and then she's like, "You
Yes.
didn't see that giant fucking
And
mural?"
then
And
the
he's
big
like,
Nazi
"I don't know how I
American
missed that."
flags everywhere. And unfortunately, this happened while Adebayo was taking a long walk when suddenly people are looking at her weird. They stop. She starts getting chased by everybody, including, you know,
Keith.
yes, Keith starts to chase her as well. And of course, at the end, that's the big meme that kind of comes from it. But back at the house, John Economos gets caught, tells the White Dragon everything, including the fact that Chris killed their Chris. Back on main Earth, we see Rick Sr. is holding a meeting in a prison, which turns out to be Lex Luthor. I
What?
was so jazzed for this one because now they're kind of working together, even though they didn't work together in Superman. But now, after the events and all this stuff, the plot thickens, and I loved that cameo so much. It was damn Lex Luthor. I love when the DC is finally connecting and building something, and I can be happy about this finally.
So do you think that Captain America didn't exist in their universe, I guess?
I would probably be
Or they
Captain
just have a
Hitler. I
racist
don't know.
Captain
Like,
America? I'm just so like I didn't think
probably
about it before,
there's
but
a
now
lot
I'm
of
intrigued
questions.
as to how the Marvel universe could exist in a racist world.
Well, I think our vigilante is the one who says Spider-Man meme, and then they point it, but I don't know.
I thought they
You know?
both did, but I could be wrong.
I thought it was our vigilante Spider-Man meme. They point at
But
each other.
they both the other one knew immediately too. Like
Oh,
they instantly went to it.
listen, I don't know. Of all the things to nitpick, that's above my pay grade.
I'm not that's not a nitpick. That's a
Oh no, no,
genuine
I
like
know
I'm
your
curious.
genuine question.
I
Yeah,
do
no,
have a
I
lot
get
of
you.
nitpicks that we will get to when we're done, but I don't think they're nitpicks. I feel like they're big things.
Well, take us to episode 7, like a Keith in the night.
Upon seeing all the Nazi stuff, Chris immediately does a complete 180 on this world, and him and Hardcore kick ass on their way out, which I absolutely loved because he goes to the other Hardcore. We're gonna have to break up right now. He doesn't even think about it. He doesn't bat an eye. He's like, this place is full of Nazis. I'm out. I
Yeah,
absolutely love
that's
that. It's a testament to the pure heart that he has.
he's a interesting, he's a confusing fella, but he's not a Nazi. You know what I'm saying? He didn't recognize because he was so in his own head and world that he didn't
And he has
recognize all of the other things
privilege.
going
He's
on.
a
Also
white
that, yes.
dude
He's a white dude, so he didn't
who's
recognize that's they're
getting
like you
all
pointed
the
out, you didn't
attention
recognize
too.
all of
Yeah.
this. Like,
He was too busy looking at, himself and how great
and
everything
pictures
is.
of him in Harcourt. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really what he was caught on.
So they're eventually cornered in this Nazi world, but the dad and brother show up and they actually kill a bunch of cops to save them. Judo Master, meanwhile, sees Ads running away and he rescues her by electrocuting a bunch of people in a pool. They end up bonding as they are both in this Nazi world and they are neither white nor straight. So they're not doing the best here. But it's actually really
No.
sweet because we really hadn't gotten to know Judo Master and I felt like it was nice to get to see him have a little bit of redemption. But he really does need to eat something other than Cheetos. Once everyone reconvenes at the not White Dragon's house, we learn that this Augie is somehow not only not a Nazi, but is also willing to listen to reason. Almost a little too much.
Yeah.
But
He
too
was like,
late.
your brother was a drughead asshole, essentially. And you're like, oh,
He's like, I loved him. I'm like, but did you? Because
Apparently not. He doesn't love
It's
his son
pretty
in any
hard.
world,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah. But this is a little too late as the double vigilante team jumps through the window or door, I don't remember which, and they off him. Augie
Yeah.
was trying to calm down Keith, who has learned that this Chris is not his brother. And so after watching his dad murdered in front of him, that didn't really help Keith's feelings calm down in the least bit. Keith then attacks Chris, and Chris's friends in Eagly don't hesitate whatsoever to stop Keith and save their Chris. However, our Chris, Peacemaker, cannot bear to watch his brother die again. He has like
That was a tough
flashbacks of
scene,
when
yeah.
that was really, really heartbreaking. And he stops them. He like screams like for them to stop.
Yeah.
And then they all flee to their world through the door. Before shutting the door behind them, Hardcore goes to kill Keith to protect Chris. She's like, I can't have you coming to find him. And I feel like that was just a tease for us. He
Yeah.
hesitates too long though, and we see Vigilante flip around really cool and like kick the door shut. Then the 11th Street kids, all back together again, and their world come face to face with Rick Flag Sr., and Peacemaker turns himself in and hands over the quantum unfolding chamber. And in this moment, he tells them his version of what happened, and they look at Judo Master, is that what happened? And he backs up
Yeah.
them.
Because he doesn't want them to go to jail with him. You know, it was all his.
Well, and he's now kind of on their side. I feel like he
Yeah.
got to see behind the veil. He got to see the people. So it's not, but he is still mad about the butterfly thing because he was only siding with the butterflies for the betterment of the
Right.
earth.
And so I do want to point, like you bring up a really good point. What brought him around was, again, Danielle Brooks and her ability to have chemistry with the wall in this series, and her and Judo Master, he saves her in that really cool scene where he electrocutes all the Nazis and that was a really cool scene. And then they go into the house where the people are away, and he goes, oh, I read the history books or whatever. And then they start playing that game, which is not Scrabble, but Scrabble. And
Yeah.
they have a talk about
the Cheerios.
yeah,
And
they start having that talk about Peacemaker and Chris, and she's like, he means well, and kind of breaks it down for him. And then he kind of sees that at the same time and what he goes through in this situation,
he also calls ads on her bullshit with her wife.
which is good. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
I like
does.
that.
And
He's like, well,
I
isn't that
do,
what you're doing?
yeah. And Judo Masters, I love that he got his time to shine in this too.
Mhm.
It was great. And then again, he kind of points out that, like, hey, I'm basically a gay, little gay dude. So of course they don't love me
And
here
also
either.
not white. Yeah.
And also not white. So of course they don't love me. And yeah, so it was really cool how he just basically, agrees. And now everybody essentially kind of works for Argus going into the final episode.
Yeah. The full Nelson, which is a wrestling term. I Googled that.
And also when they did break out, I thought it was really cool when they broke out how White Dragon showed and goes, they kill all the cops. And then come with me if you want to live. That was a cool callback to Terminator 2.
Oh, I didn't even pick that up. Oh my god.
Yeah. Because he's the T-1000 in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I know who he is. Have you seen this kid?
yeah, I absolutely adored the Peacemobile. I loved that bike because he was like, "Can I take this with me?" And I liked that. And they had that really tender moment on the bicycle, on the motorcycle, where she just leans him. That was a really good moment between the two. And again, everybody is acting really well, which leads us into the finale. Oh, go ahead.
Before we talk about the finale, because I feel like the finale is completely separate.
Okay, so you're right.
that.
This feels like episode 7 was the finale, and then episode 8 is basically an epilogue.
Yeah, a weird epilogue with a really long end credit scene.
Yeah.
But I have some issues with that. So I absolutely loved the season. Don't get me wrong. I think John Cena killed every scene. Everybody in this show did a phenomenal job. But I feel like there were so many things that they didn't answer. Like, I'm not satisfied with the ending of that story. I get you wanted to end this story and start to get ready for the next Superman or lead it into that, but you didn't give me closure in this world. Keith is still alive. Like, are they gonna? I mean, it's not their responsibility to fix this world, but like when somebody saw ads, they said one of them escaped. So what do they have? Like all the people of color locked up somewhere? Like that's what
They
Vigilante
didn't save
and the Sons of
anybody.
Liberty,
Yeah,
I assume, are trying
Vigilante
to do.
stays and he's fighting the Nazis there. Yeah.
But like keep the door open, like give their vigilante, like which he seems like he's well educated and not a complete dumbass. Like he's like, that's how I feel about people who, do graffiti. And he's like, well, I feel like that's a little different.
He is a decent human being. I will say that. Yeah. And it turns out the Sons of Liberty, again, they're not the bad guys. Who knew?
Right. And Peacemaker killed a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And then also, why was that Peacemaker? Like I had thought like, okay, maybe he's all high and addicted to pills because he doesn't feel comfortable living in a world where it's white supremacy. But like, why was he depressed over in that world? Like what was wrong when he had his dad and his brother?
Oh,
and so these are all questions I thought we were going to get the answers to, and we didn't.
I can see that. I do think that there were some things, and I know James Gunn explained that, like, hey, they were going to kill Keith, but then they decided not to, just as a maybe down the road, because I don't think we're getting a season 3, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get more, because now in episode 8, as we go into this,
I
Rick
mean, if it all
Flags
pays out, I'm always down for that.
right.
But
And
but I just yeah. And it was sad you see vigilantes. He goes, "Oh wow, my dad's not gay in this world." Yes, he is, kiddo. He's just pretending he is not, which I thought was
obviously.
sad. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
okay.
Now, and I'll kind of loop back around as Rick Flag Sr. and his Argus team. They're complete with Harcourt and Economos. They're venturing off through all these doors, finding more worlds. The motive behind it was all apparently bullcrap. Flag Sr., along with what's his name, who worked with Lex Luthor, they're looking for these worlds. They
The
don't want
creepy
to.
guy who likes to pleasure
Yeah.
himself in front of other people.
Yes, they don't want to stop another Metropolis event or even find new resources to save our dying planet. They're looking for a metahuman prison, essentially, and they find one after people die at these other, the little tiny little things that go after them in that one planet and kill the one guy who's
That were,
crazy.
like, adorable
Yeah,
until they weren't. Yeah, that's probably
everybody was
Lala
like,
Boo Boos. That's probably their version of the Boo
oh, the
Boos.
boo boos are yeah, you're right.
Did you
Now,
see the like, who is it, Tabby or somebody said they're gonna be in the Thanksgiving Day parade? We're one of them.
why I
That's
don't,
gonna summon the devil, I'm telling you. Did you watch
you
the
know
South
what?
Park episode? The
No,
Lala
I
Boo
don't,
Boos summon
watch.
demons.
Well, I don't. Those things are terrifying. Okay,
They are.
they're
They
not
are.
fugglers, which I have. Those things are
No, the
ugly
Fugglers
too.
are adorable.
Labubu's straight up trap your soul inside of them. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually what happens.
Right, yeah.
Now, we get each of our 11th Street kids are having their own time to shine moment. In the end, they do come together. Weirdly, the glue that does bring them together is Flag Senior's not girlfriend, who turns out to have a soul after all and tells them what's going on. Now, 1 second we see our team make up, and then we're cut to our happy ending. They make checkmate, which checkmate in the comic books is basically they're protecting vigilante or metahumans and things like that. So while
Making the world a
we
better place.
won't be getting probably a Peacemaker season 3, I would be very interested
Get a
or
checkmate
surprised.
movie.
I think we're gonna checkmate series. Like Tim Meadows is on the team, all of that
Ah.
kind of stuff. There's no way we don't get a
I
checkmate.
like that Tim Meadows is on there.
I
'Cause
love it.
obviously, I
Bird
mean, I
blindness.
love him. Yeah, I mean, he's
Quiz
was
me
the
about, was it spiders? Is
staple in
vigilante
SNL.
saying?
Oh my gosh, that is my son. Like, Logan is 100% vigilante, like, constantly ask me these questions,
Do
ask me
they?
that, give me a math equation. Did you know? Do you and his thing will be like, "Do you wanna hear weird facts? You want me to tell you a weird fact about animals?" I'm like, "Oh my
I both like
god,
you. I don't want to like tell them no, but at the same time, I'm
I'm
just like,
raising vigilante."
oh, because both kids are Harper. Just oh my god, she has been attached to my hip lately, and I'm just like, I can't be just get away from me, please. But at
And you
this,
can't run right now because your eyeball.
yeah. Oh god, yeah, I'm getting freaking my eye cut open tomorrow. Which at this point, if there you haven't seen Alien Earth, but there's this eyeball alien in Alien Earth that goes into things eyeballs and controls their bodies. I'm about to let that dude just take over because I can't do this anymore.
There's
But
an eyeball on the Rockefellers.
yeah, so essentially we get this happy ending. Checkmate. Woohoo! Now, obviously
That
that's
was
not
a
the case
very
because
happy
we're going
feeling. Yeah.
where Rick Flag Sr. now is throwing Peacemaker into prison, back in time. And this leads to salvation. He's the forced volunteer guinea pig to test out this new environment,
It's like,
which has
"Thank
some
you for
monster sound effects.
volunteering." I
Uh,
didn't volunteer.
he didn't volunteer, but they show paperwork that he must have signed and not have paid attention to. And it'll pick up with the next Superman movie. And now salvation in the
We don't
comic
know
book,
how he got out.
right? Well, in
But
the
clearly he gets out quick because that was what, 2 weeks before or something?
yeah, something happens. They let him out. He's with the team. Checkmate's running, and then they kidnap him again. And hey, here you are. And he's turning around. There's all these noises and stuff, right? Salvation in the comics is a metahuman prison, obviously, which Argus uses. Now, people like the Joker and all of them are on here. They're fighting to either get out or take over. And so it's really interesting to see what is going to happen with Superman and Lex Luthor in the Salvation world and who they're going to add into this. I guess we're going to have to wait till 2027 if we can live that long.
Clearly
But
we're gonna end up rewatching this before that because I'm gonna finish
yeah,
all
I
of this.
mean, we
And we'll
definitely
we
will.
should do an episode assuming we're still running this podcast then. It's so far into the future.
Yeah, and so look, I enjoyed the show. I get what you're saying. This was basically an epilogue to set up the next thing. I agree with that. We
It was
don't
like
really
a
get
tease.
closure with the
It's like
alternate world. Everything just kind of wraps up.
edging. I imagine
Yeah,
this is what edging feels like.
I
I
guess.
don't
Yeah.
like it.
I don't either. And I agree. I liked the show, but I do wish that there was a little
I feel
bit
like it
more,
hurts
I
worse.
guess.
Yeah. Yes. Like I love the
Because we're
show.
not getting a next season, and now we have to wait for Checkmate, and we have to wait for Superman, Man of Tomorrow, not even Superman's Man of Tomorrow. Um, but overall, my overall thoughts and feelings are I do like the show. I thought it was amazing. The
I
acting,
love the show. Oh, and when
people,
Eagly hugged Economos, that
yeah.
was so
Oh my
sweet.
God, they got yes.
Economos
Eagly was
deserved that
depressed,
because he was taking good care of Eagly.
and he was, and
I loved
then
when Eagly was depressed when Peacemaker was in jail.
yeah, and he was like in that little closet or
It's like,
whatever.
I'm gonna go get him lunch meats.
It's cool to see everybody come together at the end, and I love the emotionality and the storytelling that James Gunn did in world building here. So for me, I personally thought this was a 9 out of 10. This season was. I do wish that last episode did give us a little bit more, but I'm not going to complain. Like, I'm pumped because now we have what we're looking forward to, which is Clayface, Supergirl, Man of Tomorrow.
I get it, but like I give this season a 9.5 out of 10, but I give the last 20 minutes a 7 out of 10. No, 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah, because you think everything's wrapped up, and then they're like, ha ha ha.
But I didn't feel like things were wrapped up at all. That's the thing. I don't have closure from Nazi world. I don't. I have
just
so many
focused
more
on the
questions.
Nazis, man. Which they did abandon. I guess. Well, who knows what's gonna happen? Maybe I do. So I guess my whole thing was I wish they would have shown another metahuman put into Salvation, and that could have set us up. Like the post-credit scene meeting them, capture maybe another Superman villain or somebody. Gorilla Grodd or somebody. Yeah, like
isn't
they
he
could have.
supposed to be in there?
Gorilla Grodd is in the comics. Yeah, there's a lot of rogues.
He's in the Salvation world in the comics.
Yeah,
Okay.
Gorilla Grodd is Joker. I want to say like Captain Boomerang. A lot of the rogues are. There's a lot of Flash villains that end up in there, and a couple Batman. So I will be interested to see like how that plays into it. But we all thought Brainiac would be the next villain, and that turns out not to be the case, which I'm okay with. And I don't know. Guess we'll find out. That's what we have.
So
That's Peacemaker, baby. That's Peacemaker
Let's
season
find
2.
out.
Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
I think I've said enough.
We've said it all. So be sure to make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow, all that good stuff. We do have a lot of creator interviews out there coming out. Make sure you check out nerdinitiative.com where all of our full reviews are for comic books and our recaps and breakdowns are of Peacemaker. And let us know your thoughts about Peacemaker, man. Hop in our Discord, whatever it may be. And I guess we're just blue balled until the next DC movie, which I can't wait to. I mean, it could be worse. It could be like the Batman, and we just never get that. But it is what it is.
So Antissa. We're never going to hear Patient. It's going to kill me. I had to say it though. I couldn't.
I was trying to end the episode right there. So that's right. Anticipation.
Do it. I'm sorry.
All right. I will.